last transition events. This evening, we have a wonderful lineup for you. We have, to start off our evening, Mrs. Marissa Higgins with Access VR. Mrs. Higgins is a vocational rehabilitation counselor with the New York State Education Department of Access VR. She's also experienced with working with individuals with substance use recovery, mental health disorders, autism spectrum disorder, and learning disabilities. She also has experience working as a vocational counselor at South Oaks Hospital and experience at Hofstra University as well. So she's here tonight to give an overview of services and the intake process of the Access VR services. Marissa, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Hussey. Hi, everyone. So good evening. I don't have a particular slideshow for you. I will just be talking in general about our services, but I hope to be as detailed as possible. And at the end of my speaking, if anybody has any questions, needs me to repeat or clarify anything, please feel free to jump in. I believe there's a chat section, and I'll be happy to address any of anything you need. So Access VR is a state agency with the Department of Education, and we work with individuals with disabilities in helping them achieve their employment goals. So all of our services are related to employment, but we have quite a plethora of services, and it depends on each of the individual's needs and circumstances, what services they would be benefiting from. So we are adult services, which means is that the person applying for services, and if they're found eligible, in this case, this would be your students, they are the participant, and they would be working directly with their assigned counselor. The student would then become the participant, and the participant is expected to play an active role in their services. So keeping in touch with their counselor, having ongoing dialogue with their counselor about their employment goals, just making sure that they understand everything and that they're informed, and agreeing to any services that say, because our goal is to help them start to overcome some of those challenges and limitations. And in order to be successful in the workplace, be as independent and self-sufficient as possible, and eventually, hopefully, not need us anymore. And with that, Access VR is not meant to be a lifelong service. There are other services out there that are meant to be lifelong, and that may be for individuals who need more intensive long-term support. With us, we're very milestone based. So depending on the services that our participants get, being able to complete those services and then kind of move on to the next phase. And then
Mrs.
ultimately,
Higgins, I'm sorry to
yes,
interrupt, but we did
that's okay.
For a moment. We're going to start the live stream again. My apologies.
Oh, okay. Should I start from the very beginning?
Hold tight.
Okay.
Mrs. Higgins, about 2 minutes. I apologize.
Okay, so I'll get back into eligibility, I guess, of our
Thank you.
services. Okay, so in order to be eligible,
just a small sample of your patients and the right fit that you have for the position that you are in. Thank you.
No problem. Just let me know when I have the green light.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think that's what we need for these. Like a red and a green paddle. Thank you for your patience.
No problem.
Okay, let me just, thank you. Mrs. Higgins, you're live.
Okay, thank you. So I was talking about just assessing a participant and their goal, talking about what they may have expressed interest in. So what we like to hear is that what they have done or what type of skills are related to that goal that they're expressing interest in. Have they taken classes related to the goal? Have they worked in the field already? For someone who wants to be a teacher, are they good with children and public speaking and interacting with others? For someone who's interested in trade skills, how are their hands-on abilities and dexterity and all of that. So sometimes we'll have participants who are expressing an interest in a particular goal, but they may not have much experience with it or maybe not know too much about it. So in that case, we need to then determine if the goal is appropriate and attainable for the participant. So what we sometimes recommend is what's called a vocational evaluation. This is a comprehensive program that the participant attends. It consists of skills-based and academic achievement assessments, hands-on work samples, situational work assessments, interest inventories, research into their field of interest, and exploring the job market of the field. And again, I mentioned that before. That's very important in determining the goal and if that's going to be something that's attainable for them. We also consider things such as, any challenges or limitations that the participant may have, any barriers, and that may include just, looking at their math and reading levels, for someone who may be interested in the sciences, but, their math and science grades are, a little below average. We talk to them about how maybe it might be difficult for them to enter that field, and maybe we talk about other options. But we find that the evaluations are very valuable to us. It gives us a lot of information and evidence, and it helps us help the student in planning and going forward with their particular goal. So once the goal is determined, and say if a student does go through an evaluation and it's recommended that this is a work goal that will be appropriate and attainable for them, we talk about moving into the next phase of services. Often is training. I just want to make sure I'm on. I heard
No, you are. You're still on.
Okay, just checking. So training options, as I mentioned before, there are a lot of different training options, and it depends on the work goal. So if a goal requires a college degree, that would be considered the person's training. So say such as a teacher or a computer programmer. A goal may require also may not require a college degree. It may require a trade school program and certification, something that's non-degree, and that's sometimes, could be only a year or less. And that's usually for the skilled trade professions and even a lot of healthcare positions nowadays. So we really encourage our participants to research different training options for their goal, different colleges, different programs. We talk about what's going to be the most cost effective for them, what's going to be the most realistic in terms of traveling, if they'll be traveling to the college or the trade school, how they're going to get there, what their schedule is going to be like. We talk about all these things that sometimes students may not even consider. They may see a particular school or program, and they're like, yeah, I want to go here, but they haven't considered just some of the other things that's involved, such as transportation and logistics and all of that, and how much it costs. So that's really important to talk about. And we also consider the duration of programs. So, again, depending on the goal, what's going to be the quickest path to entering the workforce for that goal. So we discuss that with our students. So after the student or participant completes their training, we do offer job placement assistance. This is helping with job applications, resume development, interviewing skills, employer outreach on behalf of the participant, and follow-up. We work with a lot of different agencies who have a network of employers that they have relationships with, and they stay in touch with. Also, and this is very popular for, say, some of the trade schools, is that they also have employers that reach out to them and will be like, hey, who's graduating, who's ready to work, who can you recommend for an interview, who's going to be a good candidate for us. So that's another way of job placement, is also through the programs that the participants attend. And of course, that also extends to college. All colleges have career services departments too. And, that's a lot of times how students will get hooked up with internships or work experiences even before graduating. So once the participant does enter the workforce in their job goal, they are monitored for another 3 months by us. Sometimes, if the participant can benefit from job coaching, just to help them get used to their new work environment, help them problem solve things, help them with communication. We do also offer job coaching. And that's not something that is meant to be long term. It's really for at the beginning stages where you're still training, you're still learning your job. But it is something, it's at that extra added layer of support that participants find helpful. But after the 3 months, if all is going well, the participant is happy, no issues with their job, they're doing their job independently, no more need for job coaching, the case is closed after that. And then that's considered a successful retention of employment. But that's not to say a participant can never apply for Access VR again. We're not meant to be a lifelong service, but if someone feels that they need our help again, they've benefited from services in the past, but maybe, they're looking for another job, they're looking to advance in their career, maybe circumstances have changed for them and they need to consider another career path, they can always reapply, and then we reassess where they're at and how we can help them. So most of our services are free, no cost to the participant. That includes the career counseling and guidance, the assessment, the vocational assessment I spoke about earlier, job placement, any work readiness or vocational training before even starting before starting college or starting a trade school, and also tuition for any of the BOCES adult education training programs. We do, in some cases, also can contribute to the cost of college. The criteria for that is a little bit more stricter. It is based on financial need, and it is also based on the work goal. So if the participant and their counselor have agreed upon a work goal that requires a college degree, that's one of the criteria. And then the other criteria does have to do with financial need. So we follow the federal poverty guideline, and we have to look at the different thresholds of the guidelines related to the number of people in the household. So we look at the size of the household as well as the annual income of the household. So it's based, the income is based on 300% of the poverty level. and that changes depending on the size of the family. So I'll give you an example. A family of 4 with a combined annual income and assets of $77,250 or less would be deemed eligible. They would meet our financial need criteria, and then we could talk about contribution to the cost of college expenses. Anything exceeding that for a family of 4, if they do make over that 77 and change threshold, they may be asked. They wouldn't meet the need, and they would be asked to contribute to the handle the cost of the attending college, individually or independently. Excuse me. We also consider what other comparable benefits come into play. So if the student is receiving any financial aid, TAP, Pell, any grants from school, not scholarships, but any grants based on, again, financial need, we do take that into consideration as well. If we can contribute to the cost of college, we contribute up to the SUNY rate for each semester. The SUNY rate right now is $35.35. So that would be our max contribution per semester towards tuition. We can contribute up to $500 towards books for each semester, and then up to $300 for fees per semester. So it's not a huge contribution, but it can be of help to some of our students who are facing some financial hardships and having that extra assistance. For someone who meets our financial need policy for a trade school, trade schools also can get, quite expensive. Sometimes they are over, $10,000, $15,000, depending on the program. We can contribute up to $10,000 for someone who meets the financial need criteria. So up to $10,000 in tuition. Again, the $300 max towards any fees for that program, and then $500 towards any books, tools, kits, equipment that can be contributed. For someone who doesn't meet financial need and they're looking at a trade school or other type of non-degree training program, we still can make a contribution. We actually can contribute up to $8,000 towards their tuition. So that's also a nice little help for them. And then, as I mentioned before, all BOCES adult education programs, and this is for their adult programs, not any of the high school programs at Barry Tech. It's the actual adult continuing ed programs. We can cover the entire tuition for that. So it's we offer a lot of different services, as you can see, and again, it really depends on the circumstances and needs of each of our participants. It's not necessarily cookie cutter. It's not something where a person's going to be receiving the exact same services as another person, but we do go through, say, these different stages or phases, as I talked about, the assessment process. If training is determined, and we're going to help with training, going into there, and then ultimately into the job placement phase. So, and as far as applying for services, we are online. We do have a website, and that I'm just going to look. There is a chat section, right?
Yes, there is. Mrs. Higgins, if you'd like, I can type right in anything you need typed in right now.
That would be great. So I'm going to give you our website. So it's www.access.nysed, nysed.gov, Gov.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So what I plan on doing is after the evening events, being that this is our third evening, I'm going to send out a follow-up email in regard to all three of the events and send out all of the information.
That sounds great. And I just also want to mention for anything that I haven't answered tonight, or if you're, if there are no questions, but you still want some more information, we have a bunch of great orientation videos on our homepage that also provides a lot of details. It may sound a little redundant, but just again, just a way of learning the process, I would encourage anybody to view those. They're about 10, 15 minutes in length, so not too long.
Perfect. Thank you. So let me hop on in. Did you have anything further? Because we do have some questions, but if you have more to present.
No, that's pretty much the gist of everything. Yes, if there are any detailed questions, I'd be happy to answer.
And just to kind of clarify for the Massapequa district, as we do have multiple districts here this evening, we typically would send out a packet in the fall. So just to give parents an idea of exactly how it works on the school district side of this, we would send out a mass mailing to all of our rising seniors each spring so that the parents have the opportunity to fill out and complete the application process, send it back to us, and then just to give them a sense, then we would collaborate with you, being that you are the Massapequa counselor, and then we would set up the meetings for the fall of their senior year.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so we do have a question here.
Sure.
Can an individual receive services from Access and OPWDD at the same time?
Yes, it is possible, although typically OPWDD for students who have those services, sometimes we do find that those services may be more appropriate because of just the long-term. OPWDD is meant to be more of a lifelong service, and it does provide more intensive supportive services. So, we'll have that conversation with students who may have OPWDD, assessing where they're at, what their needs are, and if it's found that, maybe that's the more appropriate path, we'll let the family know that.
Thank you. If a student is a senior in high school, what specific services can Access provide prior to graduation?
So we have what's called the pre-employment transition program services, and those are for our high school students. So those are more of career counseling, so job exploration, post-secondary education counseling. We work on self-advocacy with our students in those counseling services. We go over work readiness behavior, and also we have helped our students also find part-time work during their senior year. I will say though, it has been a challenging year though due to COVID, and also we are finding more with employers that for some reason they really want students to be 18. I think it just has to do maybe with their availability, their transportation, and just being able to, maybe having more, availability for work hours and everything. So that's been a little bit of a challenge. So I just want to let our families know that. But we do try. We always give it a shot to work with the student. And we have had some students employed before they're 18. Finding a little part-time job. So
thank you. Is there a list of Access VR counselors who cover the different districts?
No, there's nothing that I have that I can give out.
Yeah, I guess would parents be able to find that on the website then? If they go to the Access website, would it differentiate which counselors cover which districts?
I don't believe it's on the website. They can check with their transition coordinator or their school counselors, I would say. I would recommend just doing that, just if they want to know specifically who the counselor would be. That could probably be disclosed by going that route.
Actually, I do have a question, or maybe we want to address this because over the course of this year, you and I have dealt with setting up intake meetings for students that are out of district.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to clarify for parents how that would work, because if they're in an out of district placement, just to make the connection, to explain to parents, to have them realize that they should be calling their home district.
I would say definitely call their home district, speak with, if there's a transition coordinator such as Mrs. Hussey, or just maybe the school, a school counselor, a school counseling supervisor. But please also know that you can always just directly contact us. And it's not necessarily that you have to go through the school. I know every school district's different and their levels of support are different. If you feel that your student can benefit from our services, you can just go directly to our website. We do, and I failed to mention this before, I apologize. We do have our application on our website that can be downloaded and completed. And what we're doing now, we do accept them through an email way. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically you would upload it and send it to a general email, and that would then be sent over to us, the Garden City District Office. But you can also send it in by mail. So.
Thank you. We have just a few more.
Sure.
For access, how early can a student seek a vocational assessment?
So I would say either in the summer of their junior to senior year. That could probably be the earliest. Anything before then, it might be too soon, too early. The student is still developing, still thinking about what they may want to do, still maturing. So I would say in that summer of junior to senior year, and then anytime afterwards.
I think you just answered two questions in that one answer, because somebody else had just asked, can you apply to Access VR during the summer before senior year, or do you have to wait until the fall? Does Access VR ever pay for the Wilson Tech program that the school districts pay for, but after the child ages out?
So if it's Wilson Tech, that's Western Suffolk BOCES. So if it's a program that's in their adult continuing ed, it's part of that department, then yes, we can possibly pay for that program. Any of the programs, though, that the students take in high school, we do not pay for.
Okay, I think I don't see any more populating live in real time as we sit here. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank you. We appreciate your time and mostly your patience with the streaming issues earlier on.
No worries. No worries.
We appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Mrs. Higgins. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Always a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Mr. Slepian. We're just going to hold on a few minutes until the 6:40 start time. So we are still streaming live. So if you'd like to mute, you're more than welcome to.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so good evening, Mr. Slepian. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Miss Hussey?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. So this evening, ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Brad Slepian, who has been an assistant principal at Nassau BOCES Adult Education since 2019. He came to Nassau BOCES after serving as an assistant head of school in New York City. He oversees the adult career and technical education, job placement, vocational training, and adult education, which sounds like you are very busy. And the goal is to connect students' passions to successful careers. Mr. Slepian also holds a bachelor's degree from Lehigh University, a master's in childhood education from Toro, and a master's degree in educational leadership from Hunter College. Again, personally very busy. So I'm going to let Mr. Slepian take it away as he's going to discuss our BOCES adult ed programs. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with everyone.
Thank you.
So as she shared, I am the assistant principal. I'm in charge of the adult career and technical education programs at Nassau BOCES Adult Ed. So believe it or not, our program is comprised of over 3,000 students. Just over 1,000 students are part of our career and technical ed program. We have about 1,800 students who are part of our high school equivalency and ESL classes. And we also have programs for adults with disabilities in our intensive support programs. BOCES has been around for well over 50 years, and adult ed has been around for over 40 of those years. But many people really don't know that much about us. I grew up on Long Island. I grew up in East Meadow. If I knew all the opportunities that BOCES had to offer, I might be on a very different trajectory. Even though I have a lot of different degrees and backgrounds, I love my job in education. But if I knew that there was potential times to come to BOCES in high school and learn vocational trades, even aviation classes, I might be doing something very different. So over the last 6 years, my principal, Ms. Cohen, and I, we've really had the time to build some programs, revamp some programs. We're working very closely with government and industries to ensure that we're providing the best training to produce high quality employees. We really want to make sure that they're ready for entry-level employment, no matter what the trade. We have an industry advisory board that helps guide our programs to make sure that we are doing everything right so that students are as successful as possible. Before I talk further, I'm going to show you a brief video. I always give a caveat that this was shot in 2016, well before COVID-19, so you will not see face coverings, etc. But I want to give you a little taste of our facility, and if you have not had a chance to visit Barry Tech, this will give you a little preview, but I also would encourage you to schedule a tour if you like what you see and are interested in some more. So again, that was a commercial we shot back in 2016. It really highlights a very wide range of different programs that we have to offer here at Nassau BOCES Adult Education. Our building is Barry Tech, the Joseph M. Barry Career and Technical Education Center. So it is the Barry Tech High School during the day, but by 3 p.m., Adult Ed takes over. Our programs are ultimately lead to industry certification or a BOCES certification. They're usually about a year long, but we have some programs that are as short as 20 sessions and 3 months long. So I'll talk a little bit more about our catalog in a moment and really highlight our different programs. But I want to talk more about our programs as far as entry-level employment. We're all about different pathways for careers and lifelong learners. We want stackable credentials, students coming back to us and having a chance to grow within their industry. In the medical field, you may start out as a medical assistant. You may then realize you want to become a nurse practitioner, a doctor. You never know, but it's all about experiencing it and getting your foot in the door and realizing what you want out of the industry you're interested in working. Our students we say that we serve students from 18 to 80. I say that playfully, but we have students who go to college and come to school with us at night. We have students who tried out 2 or 4-year colleges and it didn't feel right for them and then come back to us for training programs. And we have students who are working in the industry and come back to us to earn more credentials and advance in their current job. One of the most exciting things about our programs is our Career and Employment Center. So our Career and Employment Center works with all of our students to help you obtain and maintain a job, really connecting your passion to a career. So our Employment Center counselors will come into classes pretty early on to introduce themselves, help you start to build a resume, help you with interview skills, soft skills. There's no reason you have to wait till the end of a training program to start applying for jobs. We have over 300 to 400 jobs in our job postings directory. So employers post jobs with us based on the classes that we offer and even classes that we don't offer. And we try to align students with jobs that are out there for them that we feel and they feel would be a good fit for them. So our Career and Employment Center works with every single one of our programs. That's the personal touch that Nassau BOCES Adult Ed can bring to you. Lastly, I'll say that during COVID, we have had the opportunity to branch out and offer more classes online, and a lot of our classes have also become hybrid classes. Although we do never want to take away from hands-on training, especially for a lot of our construction trades, we do have Google Classroom as a component built into all of our in-person classes and our hybrid and online classes. I say that because we never want to take away from the hands-on instruction, but there may be an opportunity if it's a lecture-driven class and maybe the instructor's not feeling well, or God forbid there's a local quarantine, we can still deliver the lecture-driven stuff online through Google Classroom and Google Meet. So I view it, this year has been pretty calm for us COVID-wise, but more importantly, it's an opportunity for us to grow. It's an opportunity to learn how we can best deliver instruction to students and get you onto your trajectory and your entry-level job as soon as possible. I'm going to share my screen again and just share our website with you and our catalog and talk about the different training programs we have to offer. So this is our website, nassauboces.org/adult education. You can also get us through nassauboces.org and finding the adult education tab for schools for all ages. But here you'll be able to register for courses, look at our catalog of courses and identify some different classes you might be interested in. You'll see on the screen right now is our virtual coffee talk sessions. My principal and I are meeting with students every other Tuesday, both in the morning, afternoon, and evening, for a more personalized conversation around your pathways, the programs you might be interested in, and hopefully answer more questions for you in a more intimate setting. On the right-hand side, you'll see there's an opportunity to register for courses, but right now I'm going to bring us to our catalog of courses. So I'll speak towards the different things we have to offer here at Barry Tech, and I'll also say that we are branching into a second building and location in September. So Nassau BOCES currently operates out of Barry Tech, and Adult Ed is also going to be operating out of GC Tech in Levittown starting in September, mainly for our construction trades. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you all. So going through our table of contents, I'll tell you a little bit more about our training programs. In animal services, we have a pet grooming program and a veterinary assistant program. Pet grooming consists of pet grooming 1 and pet grooming 2. The first class is 20 sessions. The second class is 30 sessions long. Veterinary assistant is veterinary assistant 1 and vet assistant 2. Both are 20 sessions long. So our typical classes meet in the evening, usually 2 nights a week, 3 nights a week, or 4 nights a week. The animal classes do meet 2 nights a week. You will come out of this with a Nassau BOCES certification. So that is certainly recognized in the industry, and many of our students go on to entry-level positions coming out of the animal services programs. In the automotive world, we have 3 different programs to highlight. The first one I'll share is our auto collision program. So if you're interested in doing some body work, working in an auto collision body shop, this is the program for you. This covers everything from welding and painting. Auto collision consists of auto collision 1 and auto collision 2, both 20 sessions long. So for those classes, similar to animal services and the auto collision program, you could be fully trained and out in the workforce in 6 months. Automotive Institute is a bit longer. It's a 10-month long program. You actually come out of this with an ASE student certification. So you will get an industry certification attached to the Automotive Institute program. That program is built with 9 different modules, everything from brakes, steering and suspension, maintenance and light repair, transmissions, you name it. Everything that would prepare you to work as a mechanic in an auto shop, in a dealership, etc. So it's 10 months long. Those classes are in the evening from 6:30 to 9:30. In September, we're actually going to have a 3:30 p.m. class for that as well. But you will come out of it with an ASE student certification. One of the modules in Automotive Institute is our light diesel engine program. I mentioned that because light diesel engine is also a standalone program with us, 20 sessions, 60 hours. You could be employed working in the diesel field in just about 3 months as well. Moving further down into our construction trades, we just revamped 2 of our construction trades to include an industry certification through NCCER. That's the National Center for Construction Education and Research. Those 2 programs are the Plumbing Technician Program and the Trade Electric Program. So if you're interested in becoming a Department of Labor apprentice, those are excellent programs for you. It will actually allow you to shed up to 1 year off of your apprenticeship and gain up to 200 hours of education and training. It's a no-brainer in many ways. You'll get the skill set to even run your own business very shortly. But I talk about this program as an opportunity for you to gain employment, but doesn't mean you have to go the union route. This will open up a lot of doors for you for union and non-union shops for both plumbing and trade electric. These courses also involve certain classes like blueprint reading, OSHA 30, and site safety training classes. I'm also going to highlight our refrigeration and air conditioning certified technician program. Many people come to us looking for HVAC, and we talk about our refrigeration and air conditioning program. You have the opportunity to be certified by the EPA it's the EPA Section 608 exam that you take at the end of this program. And you can be certified in type 1, type 2, and type 3 appliances. That's high pressure, low pressure, and universal appliances. And you'll be certified to handle certain chemicals like Freon. I'll also talk about our welding program. I love our welding program. I love our welding shop. You saw a little highlight of it in the commercial video, but we have 2 main classes in the welding program, as well as blueprint reading attached for welding as well. So the main classes in welding, one of them is our welding fundamentals and qualifications class. The second one is an AWS qualification test prep class. So you have the opportunity to be certified by the American Welding Society, AWS. Moving into cosmetology. Our cosmetology program is a 1,000-hour program. Believe it or not, it flies. It is a very exciting program, especially because during COVID, we had the opportunity to utilize an online platform. The company that makes our textbook, called Pivot Point, has an online platform called Learn About Beauty, or Lab, in which we've shifted our textbook to being interactive and online. This was great during COVID because we have now shifted our class to a hybrid model. The classes are in person currently 2 days a week and online 2 nights a week. But by the fall, we are anticipating being fully in person for our cosmetology program. The extra exciting part about that online platform is that students can complete some of those 1,000 hours on their own time. So there is a button on the website that you use for Pivot Point Lab where you can track your time. Our teachers have crafted different assignments, lessons, interactive videos, different activities that you can do. So even if it's 11 p.m. on a Saturday and you're interested in completing more of your cosmetology training hours to get certified and completed as soon as possible, you can do so. So the 1,000-hour training program is our full program. It ends with a New York State board exam. So there's a written exam and the practical exam for cosmetology. You'd be certified by New York State. We also have a completion hours certification program. So certain students may currently be at a career and technical ed high school where you're getting certain hours towards your cosmetology training. You may go to another beauty school and not finish with them. So there are many students who come back to us to complete their certification training hours at BOCES. Similarly, students who want to come back to us for a refresher. So if you know you have your board exams scheduled, you may come back to us for a refresher course to really prepare and get ready for that exam. In our healthcare occupations, we are hopefully at the tail end of a pandemic, but it's important to always highlight our healthcare students. So the clinical medical assistant program is our longest program in healthcare. It's 10 months long. It is an intensive program. You have the opportunity to get 3 national certifications through Certified Health Professionals, CHP. You can get certified as a medical assistant. You can get certified as a phlebotomy technician and an EKG technician. All of our healthcare classes require an entrance exam called the TABE exam, the Test of Adult Basic Education. Our goal is to get everyone at a 9th grade level because New York State Education Department requires us to teach this course at a 9th grade level. If you don't score at a 9th grade level, that does not prohibit you from taking the class. It just might mean signing something called a literacy waiver that says you understand it might just mean a little bit more work for you. If students score lower than expected. We might just have a further conversation. I might talk to some references, maybe a high school guidance counselor or your boss at your job, just to understand how well you read and ultimately if this is the right pathway for you. But clinical medical assistant also has a 160-hour externship built into the program. So 10 months of training as well as 160 hours of an externship. The externship is amazing because 90% of our students are hired straight from their externship site. We have partnerships with ProHealth, CityMD, Northwell Health. So for the most part, our students are placed in one of those facilities, as well as some of what I call the mom and pop medical offices around the island as well. Aside from CMA, our medical assistant program, we offer a dental assistant program. That program is 20 sessions long, 60 hours for training, and you can be certified by BOCES and working in the real world as a dental assistant in just 3 months. Medical billing and coding is another program that does have national certification through CHP. Medical billing and coding is more of the back office person who bills insurance companies and codes the different types of procedures and activities that the doctor may do with a patient. Our program is built for a medical office, not a hospital setting. So this program is only 32 classes long. You could be out and trained in just about 4 months. The reason I bring up the difference between our program and one geared towards the hospital. So our program starts with medical terminology, then goes into medical coding, and then medical billing. It's about 4 months long, whereas if you were hoping to work in a hospital setting as a medical biller coder, you would have to take an anatomy and physiology class that would probably be an extra year or two towards your training. So we really focus on Department of Labor Statistics, getting folks trained and out in the workforce as soon as possible. Lastly, our phlebotomy technician program is a standalone program with us. It is also, phlebotomy is also involved in the medical assisting program, but phlebotomy is all about venipuncture. It's live draws. So when you go to the doctor and someone's there drawing your blood, those are the phlebotomy technicians. That program as a standalone course is 20 sessions and 60 hours. So you could be trained as a phlebotomy technician in just 3 months. We have partnerships with different medical offices, as I shared before, but we also, for phlebotomy, have some partnerships with the New York Blood Center across the street from us as well. So there's a lot of job openings there as well. We offer a manufacturing training program, as you can see in our catalog as well. But the 2 programs I also want to highlight, one of them is our environmental technician training program. This is one that we are launching for the first time in June, and we will also be offering it in September. This is all about environmental technicians. So it covers a wide range. Environmental technicians may be performing emergency response activities, cleaning up after environmental disasters. They're doing a lot of decontamination work due to COVID-19 in different office spaces, et cetera. We test air quality, soil quality. We'll really do some mock disaster events, obviously keeping all students safe, but getting to learn what it feels like to put on a hazmat suit, to have SCBA respirators and different activities that will really create a hazardous environment while keeping you safe in our training program. You'll get 40 hours of OSHA 40 HAZWOPER training and 20 hours of learning more about the industry and career pathways. So we'll have different industry partners coming in to show you a little bit more about the day in the life of an environmental technician. Very cool training program. Excited to see once it's launched in June, the reaction from all of our students, but we do have partnerships with 2 companies. One of them is Walden Associates. The other one is PPM Site Services. So there are definitely jobs. People are looking to hire over 30 students every year from us from this program alone. The last program that I'll talk about is our culinary program. It is not featured in our current catalog because during this year of COVID, we did not offer culinary classes. However, it will be back in the fall. So our Culinary Career Academy program is a Monday through Thursday class. It meets from September to December, and then again from January to April. So in just 3 months, you could be ready to go. You'll get some ServSafe certifications, and you're going to get a whole lot of culinary skills that you'll learn from this program as well. Those are all of the main offerings that we have in our Adult Career and Technical Ed program. I'd love to take some questions in a moment, but I also want to highlight a little bit more about what we do with our adults with disabilities. So Nassau BOCES, and before I get into that, I'll say Nassau BOCES is a tuition-based program. So for adult ed is a tuition-based program. We do have payment plans for our longer courses so that those require a down payment and then monthly payments. We also have students who get sponsorship from the town of Hempstead or the town of Oyster Bay. So if they determine you have employment barriers, if your family and your household is underemployed or unemployed, there's a good chance that the town of Hempstead and the town of Oyster Bay may sponsor you for our training programs. Similarly, if you are a veteran or you have veterans in your family, there's a chance you may be able to get sponsorship through the Veterans Association as well. Lastly, we are in the process of partnering with Jovia Federal Credit Union about partnering with us for personal loans for our students as well. So there's a lot of different funding options for us, even though we are a tuition-based program. That leads me to Access VR as well. So we are a vendor for Access VR. We do provide lots of core rehabilitative services. So we provide diagnostic vocational evaluations and assessments, some situational assessments, career explorations, job placement services. Just like we do with our Career Employment Center in our intensive support program for adults with disabilities, we offer a number of different programs from automotive technicians, building maintenance, childcare, food service, office assistance, pet care, stock and inventory, as well as porter custodial. So there's a number of different training programs that we offer. They're usually about 60 days long. And those programs also come with one night a week or one day a week, we do employability skills. So students are really learning everything from financial literacy to what I call adulting, really learning some work readiness tools to help you be prepared for the workforce. For many students, coming from high school, you may meet with an Access counselor. They may refer you to a vocational evaluation over the summertime. So we are one of Access VR's vendors. It is a beautiful process, I'd say, because students may come to us not sure what they are interested in or what their true capabilities are. And there are lots of opportunities to be sponsored by Access VR for one of our training programs, whether it's our intensive support program or our adult CTE programs. So a lot of exciting things to offer at NASA BOCES Adult Ed. For fall 2021, our registration is going to be open at the end of June. So right around the time that many of you might be graduating from high school, our registration will open. So I would not wait. Many of our courses do get waitlists. Many of our courses have a lot of inquiries. So I would encourage you to give us a call to register, to at least put your name on a list to say that you are interested. Give us a call if there's a program that you are interested in learning more about. If you want to sign up for one of those coffee talk sessions with my principal and myself, we're more than happy to give you more information. And lastly, if you're interested in seeing our space, come schedule a tour with us. We would love to show you around. Once the high school ends at 2:30, we start taking over as adult ed by 3 p.m. But into the summer months, we're always happy to showcase our spaces, share more about our program, and learn from our industry experts to teach you about what the career pathways are and what entry-level employment might look like for you. I'm going to pause and have a sip of water, but if anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much. What an incredibly thorough presentation. It is really fabulous information for our parents to have, because I agree. I don't think that our parents know a fraction. I mean, not just our parents, but broad, just a fraction of all of the offerings that BOCES really does have.
For sure.
So thank you. We do have some questions for you.
Great.
Well, somebody had asked, where exactly is the Career Employment Center located?
So our Career Employment Center is located right here at Barry Tech. So we have some office space. We have about 8 different counselors who work with different industry sectors to make sure we're helping students get placed in the right job for them.
Okay. I believe you did answer this, but I do, out of courtesy, want to just read the question for you. Are there supports for people with disabilities, which I believe you did cover?
Yes.
What are the requirements for entry to these programs?
Great question.
And the cost?
So every program is going to have a slightly different cost and a slightly different entry. The only classes that have any requirement upon entry are our healthcare classes. So students do need a high school diploma or high school equivalency to get into our healthcare classes. And there is an exam called the TABE exam, the Test of Adult Basic Education, to get into one of those classes. Even if you don't score at a 9th grade level in reading comprehension, it will not necessarily prohibit you from taking one of those classes. So I would recommend scheduling a TABE exam when you are interested or ready to sign up. Outside of those, there are no screening exams. Anyone can sign up for one of our programs. Our longer classes do have payment plans and enrollment contracts. However, our shorter classes, you can sign up online by yourself. You can register by calling over the phone or stopping by in person to register. So there is a wide range of prices. I'd say BOCES is very different from proprietary schools. Our mission is really bettering the quality of life for folks on Long Island. We don't want to take advantage of anyone. We're a nonprofit. We're a government agency. We want to make sure that we are giving everyone the opportunity for affordable training to get you out in the workforce as soon as possible. So we keep our rates very low, much less than some of our competitors, but more importantly, we still have to pay our teachers and keep the lights on, but we have a wide range. So the more expensive classes do have payment plans. We are partnering with Jovia for potential personal loans for our students. And we're always looking to get grants and scholarship opportunities to help support students through our different programs.
Somebody asked specifically for the Automotive Institute program, what is the ASE certification? How is that program a continuation of the Barry Tech High School Automotive Skills program? And
Right.
did you say that it's a 10-month program?
Yep. So it is 10 months long. It is very similar to the program at Barry Tech in the high school. So students who might have had the opportunity to be studying at Barry Tech, give your district a big thank you and a virtual hug, because your district probably pays up to $15,000 for you to be taking classes at Barry Tech each year. The curriculum is very similar to what you'd experience in the 2 years at Barry Tech High School. So if you're someone who is currently in one of those programs, you're probably already getting those student ASE exams. That's Automotive Service Excellence. Mechanics in the field and even students in the auto collision world, if you're out in the real world, you're taking ASE exams, but you need work experience to take the industry ASE exams. We offer the student exams, which in many ways are a really good precursor to know how you will score on those exams when someone wants to hire you and give you some work experience. I say that because when you show up on an interview and you have your ASE certification in hand and it shows you already have certification as a student in maintenance and light repair or brakes, steering and suspension, one of those topics, they're going to want to hire you on the spot. Every shop may train you to their specifics and what their needs are, but if you can identify certain tools, if you can really showcase that you've already invested in yourself and 540 hours of training as an automotive mechanic, they're going to want to hire you right away. What I will say with auto and all of our programs, but specifically with auto, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. We have partnerships with Jiffy Lube and Mavis. We have partnerships with BMW, Audi, Toyota, Westbury Jeep, Honda. Snap-on even comes in to talk to our students, offering student discounts on tools, but there's a job waiting for you. You might be doing oil changes for the rest of your life or until oil is obsolete, or you may be someone who is ready to put in the effort and get a job at a more high-end dealership or at a mechanic shop. So I say that because there's a home for you somewhere, but what you put into it is certainly what you're going to get out of it.
Perfect, thank you. Somebody asked, did you mention that there is a custodial program?
Yes. So in our intensive support program, that's for adults with disabilities, we have two programs that are similar. One is the building maintenance program, where you're really going to learn entry-level electrical work, plumbing work, carpentry work, and custodial skills as well. We also have an OSHA 10 general industry safety training as part of building maintenance. And our Porter custodial class will train you to become a custodian. So learning how to clean classrooms, offices, medical establishments, to focus on kind of basic cleaning tools and buffing machines. Also has a 10-hour OSHA general industry safety training attached to that class as well.
And there's one more question geared towards, do you help with civil service tests? I think specifically like a prep class.
So we have different courses that we also offer online. We partner with a company called Ed2Go. So we offer some of our own live synchronous classes online. We also have some more self-paced tutorial classes on Ed2Go. Some of them are also civil service exams, so preparation for those exams. We will always post the civil service exams. Many of our employees are civil service employees, so we will always post those jobs and hopefully connect you with the right training to set you up for success for those exams as well.
Well, thank you so much. That was the last question, and we do appreciate your time. Again, such incredibly valuable information.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you being here.
Yep, I would say don't hesitate to reach out. You can visit nasaboces.org/adult education. You can call 516-622-6950 for our main line, or register for a coffee talk session. I'd love to chat with you in a much more intimate session so that we can answer your questions and hopefully guide you to the right training program for you. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with everyone.
Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
Good evening, Greg. We're just going to hold tight for about another 2 minutes. We are still streaming live, so if you want to just mute, that would be fine. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. And actually, it's so fun. I'm talking to Grace, just reached out to me at the same time. So I was getting worried I wasn't getting through because I tried to get in at 7 o'clock and 7:10. Like,
Greg, you can mute.
Sorry, you can still hear me.
That's okay.
Yeah. So we are. Oh, that's what I want to do. All right. Yeah, I'm good. I'll figure this out. Thank you.
So good evening, Greg. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
I'm well. Thank you so much.
I heard tonight's going great.
Yeah. So we're going to introduce Greg tonight. Greg is an instructor counselor in the SPS department, Student Personnel Services at Nassau Community College. His units include Center for Students with Disabilities as well as Student Activities Orientation. He's been working in higher education for about 10 years, including roles at Suffolk Community College and as well as Hofstra. He holds 2 master's degrees, one in literacy special education, as well as one in instructional technology and curriculum development. So Greg is going to be here this evening to discuss some of the different programs and supports available through Nassau Community College. Take it away, Greg.
Grace, thank you so much for the introduction. Good evening, everybody. I usually use Zoom, so I'm a little unsure how to show my PowerPoint. So I know I sent one previously, but if it don't have that as an option, I have my own PowerPoint to show.
Greg, you would just hit the present now portion on your screen.
Perfect. Thank you. Give me 1 second with that. Okay. Of course, it isn't working. Okay. And I apologize. Bear with me for 1 second. Excellent. Figure it out. Okay. All right. So again, good evening, everybody. Took me a little while to get this up, but we got it going. So currently, you're going to see a PowerPoint slide. You're going to see some other names there, Kathy and Jill. Usually do these presentations together for all Nassau Community College students. And I also put some added information for parents and families to learn about the missions of financial aid. That is not my strength, but again, give you guys information about it, email addresses and phone numbers you can reach out to if needed. Again, my name is Greg Goodalinas, Nassau Community College. So again, welcome to the night. We're going to discuss admissions, financial aid, the placement test, how that works, CSD in general. And as Grace said before, I'm also working student activities. I can discuss orientation, how that process works, going to join the club, student life, things along those nature. I'll mention that as well moving forward. So the admissions process, you apply an NCC.edu, you pay a small $55 application fee. They want to look at your high school transcript, We also have placement tests to see if you would belong in remedial math, reading, or writing. This new remote world, they put a lot of weight on your high school grades, SAT scores, because the placement test will be remote, and not all students do well with remote testing. So there is a little give and take with this new world we live in currently. Again, any questions about admissions? I left their number there, their email address. They are on campus Monday through Thursday. So if for some reason you want to go on campus and talk to them and face to face, they're there. If you'd rather reach out to them through an email, they're there as well. Admissions@ncc.edu. Any questions you may have, they are very helpful and help you as quickly as they can. Financial aid is a big issue nowadays. Again, unfortunately, with this new world, people losing their jobs. The CARES Act has a lot of financial assistance for families and students to help them get over that hump. So again, I left their phone number there. Same thing as admissions. They're there Monday through Thursday. And also have the email address. We work throughout the summer, so we're always there if you have a question, a problem. You have school codes. If you use FAST for a TAP, those codes are very important to know. And also helpful link at the bottom, ncc.edu / financial aid. Okay, so now the meat and potatoes of my presentation is really focusing on CSD, the placement test, student activities. Again, that's really where I work in and my expertise is in. So the placement test, and I kind of said earlier, they test students out in reading, writing, and math and see if they belong. Your child, may take all 3 remedial classes. That's fine. It may just take one. It may take none. So it all depends how you do. Very important to tell your child to take this test very seriously. I've had some students tell me, I know it was important. I know it counted, and you can't retake the test. If your child gets accommodations for a test in high school, those accommodations can be met for the placement test. But it's very important to get their documentation in, meaning in their IEP, 504. Make sure you email that to the CSD office, one word, at ncc.edu. That's CSD office at ncc.edu. They said, all your documentation. Hi, my son or daughter is going to be applying, going to school, in the fall. We need to take the placement test. We want to have our accommodations in place. No problem. We will take care of that. A council will review it and give those necessary accommodations for the test moving forward. Any further questions for the placement test, the email's at the bottom, one word, placement testing at ncc.edu. They can answer a lot of these questions, make appointments. If you had to modify your appointment for the test for whatever reason, they're very accommodating to make sure every student gets the best chance they can to be successful. I kind of mentioned this already in the previous slide, how you get the accommodations for the placement test. Again, reach out to the CSD office, your 504 IEPs, and they'll get those accommodations. And then I'm getting ahead of myself, but accommodations will follow students through the fall semester and beyond at Nassau Community College. Again, if say you get time and a half, separate location, it will be that for the placement test and beyond in the classroom. Right now, placement tests are remote, but that could change. Right now, Nassau Community College this summer, if I had to put a number on it, a rough guess, about 90% is remote. In the fall, I would say 70% of classes are in person, and that number could change. As we know, COVID's a revolving situation, ever evolving, and there could be more classes available. Right now, we have remote classes. Some students want to stay home. That's fine. It's their prerogative. We did a survey to Nassau Community College students, and most of the feedback we got was be in person. So majority of classes are in person, but there are some remote in case students want to stay remote. And there's also a hybrid option where it's 1 day on campus, 1 day remote. And the last option is just purely online with no Zoom session, no professor talking to you, just kind of give weekly assignments. So again, there's numerous options available to accommodate all students, wherever they feel comfortable in. A new student requirement that all students must be vaccinated. So I know it's a touchy subject. So some students might not want the shot yet, and the families don't want the shot yet. That's fine. And then I would, gear you towards taking remote classes. You're still getting education that you want without taking the COVID vaccine. So again, we're Center for Students with Disabilities, CSD. Due to COVID, we're actually just started coming back on campus. I would say probably April. There's at least somebody on campus once a week to help out any questions or problems. But for the most part, we are still remote this summer. I think we're going to be in the fall hours. We're going to rotate part-time, maybe like A and B day schedule, trying to keep the workflow, student flow kind of limited in the fall. Nothing official yet, but that's kind of the feeling. There'll be somebody there to help you on campus as well as remote. Again, whatever is best for the student. Again, trying to accommodate every student we can. And again, the important email to know is csdoffice@ncc.edu. They'll help you guide you any questions you may have. Reach out to a counselor, whatever you may know. They can help you out with that. This is a form, excuse me, that you would fill out. I apologize, it's not the clearest, but you can see on the left side, you put your disability. Let's just say it's learning disability. You're requesting a reader, extended time, whatever it may be. And again, your personal information, your student's name, the address, and so forth. But this is one of the forms you need besides your IEP. We want to know what you're requesting. Say your IEP has a reader, and you're like, no, I don't think I need a reader. That's your prerogative, and we'll give you just extended time. IEPs do not follow you to high school. Doesn't follow you to college from high school. We give you testing accommodations, but with IEPs, you have to meet quarterly goals and yearly goals. That's not necessarily the case in college, but the testing accommodations, for the most part, do follow you through your college years to make the level. Yeah, it's been a long day. I'm sorry. Level the playing field. I apologize. So a lot of questions parents have is comparing high school versus college, what to expect, students' responsibilities, parents' responsibilities, the role of a CSD counselor myself, the accommodations, academics, testing center. So there's a lot of things to discuss. There's a lot of differences that we will go over in the next slide. But that's usually one of the biggest questions families have, students have moving forward. So I think this slide really helps make the transition easier. And again, I kind of stated some of these things previously with the IEP doesn't necessarily follow you to college, but again, we still use that paperwork as a foundation to what requirements that you need. With we have students being self-advocates. We're really big at have students being self-advocates. Where in high school, a student would be kind of led to make sure, hey, there's usually time and a half. Don't forget, you have to go use your separate location. How's class going? College is a different animal. You'll be a self-advocate. If I'm your child's counselor, and if you don't reach out to me, I think everything's fine. So it's really up to that student to reach out to me, reach out to the professor. I like to think we're a one-stop shop. Either we have the answer for you, or at least point in the right direction. For example, one thing is financial aid. I refuse to mess people's money, so I always give that to the experts. But if you came to me for a question, hey, where's a writing center? Oh yeah, here's the email address, here's a phone number, here's where I'm located. I will absolutely help you. Making schedules, making sure you get accommodations. If for some reason the professor's not giving you a time and a half accommodation, that's a federal mandate, and then I would step in. Joining a club, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But really, we're here to help you any way we can. If we don't know the answer, we refer you to the right people and get that ball rolling in the right direction. But again, it's up to the student, talk to the professor, talk to me. Parent role. Again, this is a hard adjustment for parents and understandable, where they really can't access their students' files. With this new world, we live in, I keep saying that same world, but it's just stating the facts. With the Zoom information, for example, if I were meeting with your child and if they say it's okay for you to be in the meeting, that's fine with us. As long as we have, their verbal acceptance, that's satisfactory. But if you call me privately, email me privately, hey, what's my son or daughter's grades? I can't provide that for you. So, that's a little touchy subject, but, now they're mainly, once you get to college, you're considered an adult. But, there are some ways around it. As long as you have their approval, we can still talk and go from there. Study responsibilities. There's numerous tutoring services on campus. We have our own tutoring service on campus. There's a math learning center, a writing center. I'm going to say it's probably 20 different academic supports on campus. So if there's a subject your child is struggling, there's free tutoring, support when needed. Reach out to your professor. They have office hours to help you. Almost like high school, they have like after school extra help. These hours for us to have available to students to take advantage of to any question they have about a lecture, an upcoming test. Again, technology works great. Shoot an email, but again, it's definitely up to them to speak up for themselves moving forward. There's a theory in college. I don't necessarily agree with it. You need to be studying every hour you're in school, you should be home studying 2 to 3 hours. I think it's a little bit too much. The more the merrier. But I would say my personal feeling, the hour you're in school, we should probably spend at least an hour at home studying for that class. You think about it, you take math in high school 5 days a week. When you get to college, it's only twice a week. So you got to make up that difference somewhere. So that's usually my rule. But again, there has been studies you do 2 to 3. And again, I think it's asking a lot. You're taking 5 classes. I think that's asking a lot to a student. So that's that. Just some tips for incoming students to Nassau Community College. A big thing is students need to check the email daily. With technology, use your phone. You get email alerts. Check it. Again, at least daily, maybe twice a day, just to make sure you're not missing anything. Big events coming up, and this is where I get a little bit into the student activities portion of it. For example, we have a carnival upcoming where students can have some fun, play some games, unwind, get out, enjoy the air. We had a big drive-through, a very successful event on Monday, a drive-through graduation. We gave out swag and towels and T-shirts and sweatshirts, and the list goes on. Socks we gave out to students. There was food there, but you're usually notified via email with that. So it's very important to students to check their email. Upcoming events, upcoming registration, things like along those nature. We had Andy Grammer for a remote concert recently. That was in early May. We collaborated with NYT. Again, you're always notified via email. Again, social media is another good one. Follow Nassau Community College on Instagram, and follow some certain clubs. Student life is very important. So again, one of my roles is student activity. So I highly recommend for a child to join a club. Maybe not your first semester, get your feet wet, take your classes, get used to the campus. That's fine. But I think it's also very important to get involved with the campus and join a club. There's over 100 clubs. So hopefully one of those fits the need of your child. And also do orientation. And so when you do apply, once you make a schedule, you'll get an email notification about orientation. There's 2 parts of it. There's an online orientation where you do it, your child does their own speed, get to know the campus, watch quick little videos, read quick little blurbs. And we also have, starting July 20th, every Tuesday and Thursday, you have to pre-register. Again, you get an email about that, how to register for this. We have a remote session with the orientation leaders, giving their tips and advice, what they've experienced at Nassau, as well as ask any questions those students may have. So again, there's a lot of ways to get involved. Get involved any way possible. Check your email. Be a self-advocate. Speak up for yourself. We're there to help you any way we can. Enjoy a new adventure. I think community college is a great step. I'm obviously going to say because I work there. Me personally, I went to community college myself. I went to Suffolk Community College. So I think it's the best bang for your buck. If you're unsure about your future, it's a place to be. Get your feet wet, test different classes out, and then from there you go on to a 4-year school. And you're halfway done. You save some money. So it's definitely a very appropriate approach to being successful moving forward. There's so many great things to offer. Athletic-wise, a great athletic program. The men's lacrosse team just won nationals. We've had NFL players play for a football team. I mean, just overall, just a great school, athletic-wise, academically-wise, student life. There's just a lot of great things back in the college. Sometimes it gets a bad rep in the communities, but when you talk to students who graduate there, they don't want to leave. They want to stay. So you usually have a good experience there. But it's what you make out of it. Don't worry about that. And then leave any questions or comments you guys may have. I know I kind of went through it pretty quickly. If you'd like to maybe go a little more in depth about something, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about the school in general, CSD, orientation, student activities. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Greg. So we do have a few questions for you. One is asking about the placement testing. Can you go over the placement testing again?
Sure. So is it with the placement test, was there anything specific that they had a question about, or just
No, just a quick
wrap up?
review of it again. I think they
Okay.
wanted to see the slide again.
Sure. So I'm going to start with this one first. Again, a placement test kind of measures where students' capabilities are. Again, I use a math example because that's usually where students struggle with is in math. If for some reason you don't meet, college requirements, so to speak, in math, we're not going to throw you into an algebra class where you're going to be unsuccessful, fail, get frustrated. So we kind of have a remedial class to fill in those gaps, so to speak. So when you do take a class, a credited class in college, you're lined up for success. So the placement test kind of tests your capabilities, where you belong in college, and setting you up for success. Again, not throwing you into a pre-cal class and you have no experience in math. That's not fair to you, and it's going to make you frustrated. So we make sure we do the proper placement test. As the placement test portion, also, I think this could be the question I was asked too, as your accommodations. So make sure you email the CSD office at ncc.edu. Send us your IEP. There's a form I showed later on in this slide. It was you talk about your disability and what requests you need, time and a half, separate location, whatever it may be, so we can make those necessary accommodations for your placement test to make the test a level playing field. And then again, any question for the placement test, I think it's a previous slide. Any question placement test, one word, placement testing at ncc.edu, and they can answer a lot of those questions that are on your mind. Hopefully I answered it, but again, if not, they're very quick to answer their emails and helping out the families getting it all set up for you moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are extra time and test reader the only accommodations that are offered?
Great question. And again, I wish I can give you a better slide of this one. It's the left-hand part of the page. There's readers and scribes, Scantron, I'm having trouble seeing it myself, extended time, copy of notes, calculator, and it's actually an other section. If there's something we're not even thinking about, that you've had, by all means, let us know. I saw 2 students today. It's rare, but a student requested breaks for exams, and they have seizures. So that is a possibility. But we leave another section above the NCC ID on the right-hand side, right-hand column. It's right above it says others. You guys could even fill in as well. Most students do extended time, separate location, but readers and scribes are not unheard of. Copy of notes, recording. Some students like having recordings in class. It could be a tape recorder. If the professor, again, with the Zoom world, the professor might do recording for you with a presentation and then send you to recording later on. So there's a lot of flexibility. There's tons of options. Too many to list, but we're very flexible with student requests for that.
And then just to clarify, so do these accommodations have to be on the student's IEP when they exit high school, or can these be accommodations that they are just needed in college?
Great question. Usually, again, maybe 9% is from the IEP. And again, high school, you had extended time, whatever it may be, will follow the accommodation moving forward. At the same time, if you're seeing a psychologist or on the side and they recommend something, that's also, if we get a doctor's note saying something, that holds weight. But usually IEP is what most families send in. It's what most students follow. I believe these are all parents that have high school students, but if you have other family members, if they're going to, I had one student today from the University of Delaware who's taking summer classes. We call them visiting students. If we have a letter from that college saying you get X, Y, Z accommodations to us, that's satisfactory. Another college is vouching for you these accommodations. So there is some flexibility. So it's like kind of yes and no question, but usually the IEP is we follow that almost to a T.
Thank you. Are there any non-accredited programs that Nassau Community College offers?
So that's a good question. That's more of like an admissions kind of question. I'm going to say there are. There's just so many options for students, accredited, non-accredited. We have certificate programs too. So I would lean more yes, but I think that'd be a good question. Ask admissions at ncc.edu. Check out the website. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm very confident that there's multiple options for students to take on the college level.
Thank you. And can you give examples of some clubs that might be offered? And then does CSD help a student figure out how to navigate joining a club?
Absolutely. These are great questions. I love these questions. I'd rather hear questions than hear myself talk the whole time. So with Student Life, if you go to the website, ncc.edu, there's a Student Life tab. You would click on that. As a left column, it says clubs and organizations. As you scroll down, is an alphabetical order A through Z. So if you want to join the accounting club, for example, you would click on accounting, give a little description about the class and who the advisor is and their email, how to contact them. We have campus activity day early on in the semester, then the first week or two, where all the clubs basically are trying to recruit you, so to speak. So that's a chance for your child to walk around, again, hopefully in person, expecting me in person for this event in September. You'd walk around and you'd see all these clubs trying to get your attention, and you can get paperwork on each club and see which one interests you the most. And you can join more than one. CSD has their own clubs. We have a Connections Club and what's the other one? Access Club. So we have 2 of the clubs at CSD, and CSD advisors look over. But again, there's over 100 clubs. Of course, we would absolutely help your child out if they want to join a club and having trouble figuring out. I would probably go to that webpage, trying to find out who the advisor is. I can email them personally. So yeah, absolutely, I would, show them the list, walk around during campus activity day, and then if need be, we can absolutely jump in and kind of bridge that area, virtual introduce or in person introduce you to the advisor, and then go from there and have meetings. The clubs meet every Tuesday and or Thursday, 11:30 to 12:45. There's no class at that time, so it's kind of like a dead time, and the school's really promoting you to join clubs. So there's nothing should be interfering your child from joining a club or two. And again, I think it makes a big difference when you're applying to a 4-year school after Nassau. If it's me versus your child, both have 3.0s, but he or she is in 2 different clubs and is a treasurer of each club, or whatever it may be, school's usually going to lean towards that student more than me. They see they've been on campus, not just going to school, they're going to school and doing more. So I definitely highly recommend joining a club. Again, maybe not your first semester, get your feet wet, but the second semester and on, I highly recommend that.
Thank you. And do you have any social supports at the CSD?
I think the social supports would be those clubs, the access to connections. It's definitely a way to network and comfort zone and a safe environment where students can talk to other students. I think that's our social aspect that we provide. If for some reason that student wants a different surrounding, again, we can definitely help them find another area. Again, we usually, if they're major psychology, hey, you want to go to the psychology department and see what they can offer to you. And again, psychology has a club obviously as well, but we would try to do an in-house social event for our students to talk, communicate, network. But if they feel uncomfortable, something just doesn't fit right, doesn't feel right, we'll definitely help them join something that catches their interest more.
Thank you. The events that you spoke about in the summer, are they open to high school students looking to attend Nassau Community College?
That's a tricky question. They're supposed to be for Nassau Community College students only. However, we're not checking everyone's ID coming in. So you could sneak in. It's you didn't hear that from me. But again, it's mainly made for Nassau students, but we're not checking. We're kind of going by the honor system. Again, we had the remote concert already with Andy Grammer. We had a graduation thing just last week. We have a carnival event upcoming. So that's one event that's supposed to be for Nassau students, but again, we're not gonna stop you and check your ID and all the other stuff. The orientation, I don't know if that's one event you're talking about, but the orientation you should be doing, it's via Zoom. We also have, actually, no, on topic, CSD has their own orientation as well for families and students. There's no official dates, but again, check your email. Very important, check your email. We have 2 dates in late August for you to meet counselors like myself, our unit, our department, and just go over all things that our department and unit can do for you. Parents and students are invited to that one. So that'll be in late August. Just check your child's email after registration.
And to go along with that, are there campus tours for students that are looking at the CSD?
Yep. So right now with campus tours, we're still in that remote world. We're not giving campus tours. Before the pandemic, we used to give individual tours, small group tours, whole high school tours. So as of right now, no, we're not giving tours. I think in the fall that might change. Again, I believe most of you hopefully are coming here in the fall, but But if some people here are juniors, think about it, 2 years from now, I believe there'll be more personal tours moving forward, starting in the fall. As of right now, they're still remote. CSD, the information session, this is still in discussion. There might be one session remote, one session in person to kind of give families and students the options, what they prefer. And I think it's very important to see, smell, touch the campus, so to speak. So there are some internal discussions about making one remote, one internal, so at least the student, the families can see where that building is, where certain buildings are on campus. A very big thing to try to visualize it. We've a NCC app. Definitely use a website, Google Maps. It's a very large campus, but at the same time, everything's very close together. If it makes any sense, it's a beautiful campus, big campus, but a lot of more important buildings and classes are all kind of clustered together. And actually, we have a main section of a campus called Cluster A, Cluster F, and so forth. So most buildings are close in proximity.
Thank you so much. That's all our questions for tonight.
Excellent.
Thank you for your informative presentation. It was very helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Have a great night.
Good evening, Martha. We are streaming live, so we're going to just take a moment or so. We're going to actually start in about 5 minutes, but please know that you can feel free to mute because the YouTube stream is running live.
Thank you.
Thank you. So good evening, Martha. Thank you so much for being here with us. We are so excited to have you, and we definitely are most appreciative and grateful for you taking your time to join us this evening. So Martha is the Executive Director of the Nassau County Civil Service Commission. She is a past president of the Nassau County Bar Association and currently serves as its COVID-19 chair. Martha has been a practicing attorney for 40 years. She joined Nassau County in 2006 and has represented a number of Nassau County agencies. In addition, she has certified the Office of the Nassau County Attorney as a continuing legal education provider and has recruited and trained dozens of college and law students. She has a particular interest in diversifying public sector employment through recruitment and through the development of appropriate job specifications and qualifications. So Martha, we welcome you here this evening to discuss the civil service process, the overall broad information that our families would need to know, and specifically if you could cover some things on the 55A or B exemption. Thank you. Take it away, Martha.
So it's very nice to be here. And I think one of the most common misconceptions about civil service is that the system is very confusing and people feel overwhelmed from all the different things they've heard over the years about civil service and the tests and the deadlines and the applications and where do I go and do I need to be fingerprinted? And it's just sort of like a mysterious component of public sector employment. And it's really very, very easy to understand if you do a few basic things and listen to a few basic rules. And I'm going to talk about that broadly and then more specifically. The most important advice that I can give anybody that wants to get a little bit familiar with the civil service system is to spend some time on the website, which is just simply nassaucountiny.ny.gov. You can look at links to all the different agencies, including civil service. Because civil service is based upon a system of what we call competitive testing, there are applications and there are exams. But I want to begin this particular presentation by talking about what are the exceptions to those requirements, how those exceptions work. And then I want to move into when there are competitive exams that are required, the different types of accommodations that people are entitled to under certain circumstances. And then I want to refer back to the website and start to talk about some of the information that's available. So the civil service law is one of dozens and dozens of New York state laws, and it's a complicated law. It's designed to really establish what is called a level playing field so that anybody is entitled to apply for the same position based upon their qualifications, their education, as opposed to who they know or what they know or who their mother is or who their father is. And that is the whole premise behind civil service. And so when you look at the laws, they talk a lot about testing and they talk a lot about requirements, but there's also special provisions under the law that accommodate people that are different. And it may be somebody that has served as a veteran and was disabled during that service, or it may be somebody that meets certain criteria of having either mental or intellectual or physical limitations. And so a specific section of the law, it's known as 55A, and that part of the law specifically allows for individuals who meet certain criteria to not have to sit in a classroom and take a traditional civil service examination. And there's a number of positions reserved for individuals that qualify. Now, civil service does not decide who meets 55A because that would be out of civil service's range of expertise. But instead, that is established by a New York State Department of Education arm, which is called Access VR. And Access VR will certify to the disabilities and limitations. And in fact, in a component of Access VR, there are counselors who will accompany a new employee to the work site or the job site, depending on the circumstances, based upon the 55A certification. And that type of help remains available whether it's time to retire or whether there's a problem in the workforce or any of those types of situations. And so, but it's very, very specific and it's very limited. And unfortunately, Nassau County itself does not find the 55A positions. The individuals who have been certified by Access VR are responsible for approaching the agencies much as you would any other type of job. And that's just because the county does not have that type of career counseling available, except in limited circumstances that I don't want to talk about at this point in the program. So other than the 55A, the law is also structured, and by the way, when I refer to something like 55A or any of the other things, again, if you go to the Civil Service website, there are links directly to the law, and there are explanations about veterans and disabilities and all sorts of information. You just have to be patient and read through the column and click on what is of interest to you. And there's many, many details about that. There's also on the website a very simple PowerPoint that gives a lot of information about civil service in general, including 55A. So in addition to this, if you do need to sit for an examination, let's just move off of the 55A and into an individual who has not been certified by Access VR to be exempt from taking the competitive traditional classroom exams. Accommodations are also available, and those accommodations include a number of very, very helpful things that must be requested, obviously, in advance of the competitive exam. So, for example, an examination can be read to an applicant, if that would be helpful. An applicant can also be provided with a scribe to record answers on an answer sheet. And an applicant is also entitled to have extended time to complete the examination. So again, this is different than the 55A where there is no examination. This is now, we're going to sit for an examination, but we're going to recognize that not everybody has all of the same abilities and skills, and that sometimes assistance is absolutely appropriate when requested in a timely manner. You also, for example, a visually impaired candidate could, that does not wish to have a reader, because that doesn't work for everybody, can request instead a large print booklet. If there's a hearing impaired candidate that wishes to lip read for the instruction portion, that candidate would be entitled to be sat right up in the front of the classroom to be able to see the examination proctor. So one size certainly does not fit all. These accommodations are all available upon request. And, you know, sometimes a doctor's note is produced, sometimes an individual education plan is produced. And if you are filling out an application and think that an accommodation would make a big difference in taking a competitive exam, there is a question on the application that says, do you have a temporary or permanent disability that requires you to be granted special assistance in order to participate in a written exam? So if you say yes to that question, you can upload certain documentation to the file or email the documentation to the office. Now, the Nassau County office in turn receives the information and then sends it to New York State for its determination. So just to recap, the 55A provisions of the law, and it's only called 55A because it's literally section 55A of the New York State Civil Service Law that begins with section 1 and goes all the way on up. So 55A is nothing more than the name of the section of the law. So moving away from section 55A, which does not require an exam, we move into the arena that I just described, which has to do with I'm going to participate in the exam, but I need certain type of assistance. That assistance is requested in advance to Nassau County, who in turn gets the approval of New York State. And just to explain why it works that way, New York State is really the parent to the Nassau County Civil Service Commission. It prepares exams, it sets our rules. We work closely, pretty much on a weekly basis with New York State. We work in tandem. We assist New York State with certain issues, and they assist Nassau County. And I also work with civil service agencies throughout New York State, from very tiny counties that might have a couple thousand residents, all the way up to counties like Nassau, Suffolk, Westchester, Rockland County, Monroe County, which is Rochester, Erie County, which is Buffalo. And as different as we all are, we all share in size. We share a lot of common battles and strategies. And we talk all day long through emails about different ways to diversify our workforce, which diversity includes obviously individuals that are in all the protected classes under the law, and that includes individuals with different types of disabilities. And that's why we have the accommodations that we have. So one of the, because I'm speaking to the schools, I was thinking about the different types of positions that require different types of diplomas and different types of education. And we are in the process of finalizing a very comprehensive document that will be on the website that will talk specifically about the type of education that different positions require. And it also will show whether those positions are subject to competitive exam, in which case you could get either a 55A waiver if Access VR certifies that, or you can get the accommodations that I explained in the sort of like the second part of my presentation. And it talks about, it breaks down the jobs into those that require a high school diploma or less. And there's pages and pages of those jobs, many of which are through competitive exams, which is the formal classroom testing that we've been talking about. Then there's also high school, other than high school and below, we also have high school and vocational or special training. And those jobs are, just for example, like dental hygienists or a power plant operator trainee. These are our positions that you might go to a school that is not just your traditional high school and get that kind of training. And experience is frequently accepted instead of education. And then there's all sorts of different training requirements, and it'll talk about, for example, a medical sonographer requiring vocational training as opposed to a cardiology technician who takes a one-year course. And there's just position after position. We also have a list where some college is experienced, but no experience, but some college is required, but no experience is necessary. Others, you have to have a bachelor's degree. Others, you have a master's degree. And then there are also all of our law enforcement positions, many of which require a high school diploma. And I mentioned that specifically because I want to talk a little bit about diplomas, and then I'm going to stop talking and see if there are any questions that anybody wants to ask at this time. But in terms of the high school diploma, when you look at most civil service job specifications, and that's just a big word for a job description, and every job specification is posted on the civil service website, whether it's through competitive exam, non-competitive exam, whatever it is, they're all posted on the website, and it's very, very easy to navigate. So when you look at the website and you start to think about the different types of exams and the different types of options, you'll see that there will be this list of these different positions, and you'll also read the descriptions of the jobs, which again are called the job specifications, and they will talk about the degree of education. And most of them will talk about either a high school diploma or a GED, the general equivalency diploma. And I had been approached early in my work with the New York State Civil Service Commission, and of course directly with the Nassau County Civil Service Commission, about other types of diplomas that high schools might issue. When I went to high school, there were regents diplomas, but now there are superintendent's diplomas and different types of diplomas. And these should all be the high school diploma and the GED. Those terms should be read broadly, because we would look at other high school graduates as on equal footing. And if anybody does have any questions about how this is determined, there's a lot of email addresses right on the civil service site where you can send an email and you'll get some information. Even if you call the Civil Service Commission, we generally do require that the questions be submitted by email, only because we find that when a phone conversation takes place, there can be a lot of confusion afterwards. And generally, we speak directly to the applicant or the candidate, him or herself, but under certain circumstances, it's certainly appropriate for a parent or a guardian to also be involved in the process. So one of the interesting features of the website is that you can easily complete something called a job interest card, and it's exactly that. Let's say you wanted to take a certain type of exam and you looked and you just didn't see that it was being offered. You can fill out a job interest card, and when that exam is being offered, you will get an email notification that says an exam for a certain position is being held on a certain date and the application is due by a certain date. So if you do sign up, or if you sign somebody up for the civil service system for the job interest card, the most important thing to remember is that if you change your email address, you must keep that record up to date, because if not, and you do get an email, it will bounce, it'll be rejected. And I also personally advise people to make sure that civil service is added to their contact list so that nothing goes into the junk or the spam file, because you would hate to be waiting to hear from something that actually is going to happen and then realize that you had not been notified because you didn't keep your email address updated. So that's very, very important. Addresses, everything should be updated, because the system is only as good as the information it has. So that's sort of like the overview that I had prepared. I'm happy to try to answer any questions, or however it's however you want to move forward from here. I'm available.
All right, so Martha, thank you so much. I think we do have some questions. Hold tight. Somebody had asked, can you get a civil service position with a skills career credential?
With a skills career credential?
Yeah, this is like the SACC. It's not exactly a regent's diploma.
Right. Yes. So that's what I was trying to address before. I mean, I'm not familiar with that specific diploma, but that's exactly the type of question that I would want to be asked more specifically, like by an applicant, because like I said in the presentation, even though many of the job specs say high school diploma or GED, a lot of the specs predate these new and alternative diplomas. So we would review that and we would look at what the diploma was based upon. And if it was attendance at a high school with just a different curriculum, those would be the kind of things that we would look at on a case-by-case basis. I also very frequently do amend job specifications formally. So if there was something that was very commonly being issued, that might be a time when we would actually go to the commission. I report to 3 commissioners and say to them, we'd like to officially amend this job specification so that it has a broader description of the type of high school diplomas. So that would be an appropriate request to make, and I'd be very, very interested in working specifically on that issue.
Thank you. Somebody had asked for the 55A, what are the common disabilities that may qualify for this?
So it would depend. I mean, we have had people with physical limitations that prevented participation in competitive examinations. And then we've had people with different types of diagnoses of the law is very old. So it really talks about, in very old fashioned terms, but it would be inability to learn or a low IQ under certain circumstances. And my office has individuals that are 55A employees. And one of the challenges has been that in the workplace has changed. So jobs that might have been able to be accomplished need to be rethought. And it requires a lot of dedication, and it takes very, very special supervisors to make this work in the current workplace, because, as you know, a lot of paper and filing and jobs that used to be necessary are no longer necessary. We don't accept paper applications anymore, for example. We accept online applications. So there's been a change, and it requires a lot of hard work, but there is a place, and it's a good full-time job with benefits and a pension and a good environment. So it's definitely worth looking into the 55A positions. And one size, again, does not fit all. So there's not a list of exact diagnoses that qualify you. That is why we work in tandem with Access VR, which is the New York State arm that would be much, much more familiar and would do the evaluation. And again, if New York State did find that the person did not qualify for the 55A and did need to sit for the exams, that's when the list of accommodations would come into play. And I'm overemphasizing that because it's so important. I don't want anybody to feel that if 55A is not an option, that's the end of the journey, because it's not. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Somebody did ask something specifically. In tandem with the access. So for the accommodations for the exam, would they go directly through Access, or how would they specifically request?
So they would send an email. If Access said, we're not certifying you as 55A, they would send an email to csrecruitment@nassaucountiny.gov. But nobody, and CS as in Civil Service Recruitment @nassaucountiny.gov. But remember, this is for somebody that is signing up for a competitive examination. And that's when those accommodations would be requested. And the easiest way to really see which exams are competitive is to take the time to go on the website and go through this. And just last night we did a training. My staff did a training working in tandem with the Nassau County Office of Hispanic Affairs. And in that training, somebody literally goes onto the application and shows how to navigate through it, because it can be overwhelming. And the biggest mistake in that regard that people make is they wait too long to go on to the application. So the application is due at 11:59 p.m. You cannot begin that application at 11:45 p.m. and expect to be successful. You just can't do that. It should be looked at in advance, especially because then you could send questions to civil service and we'd be able to help and be as specifically helpful as possible. So when we do the trainings, we do them in all different languages. And the purpose of it is so that people literally get the assistance navigating the application. I know we've all had experiences with maybe a DMV form or a social security form where, you think, I know how to do this. I mean, I know, and all of a sudden there's a glitch and it's just not letting you move any further in the application. So this is all fine, except if there's a cutoff, if there's a firm cutoff. And so that's why it should be anyone wanting to start working with the applications as early as possible in advance. The minute you get notified of the exam, that is a time to start working on it, because maybe it's going to want an IEP to be uploaded as part of the support for an accommodation. You want to make sure you have that document in hand. Maybe it's a birth certificate, maybe it's a transcript, whatever it is. So advanced planning is crucial to the process. And I have complaints about this very, very frequently. People will call and they'll say, I signed up for the wrong exam. I was so flustered that that I signed up for this. I wanted the bilingual exam, but I signed up for it. When can I do anything now? And really the answer to that, unfortunately, is no, because the whole purpose of the civil service system is that everybody's on the same footing. So if one person has extra time, then the other person says, well, I could have used the extra time and I could have done a better job. So it's very important to make a go of it as early on as possible.
Okay. And seeing no other questions, I'd like to thank you so much for this incredibly informative, wonderful presentation. We do appreciate your time. And we will follow up with, thank you. We are going to follow up with an email to all of our participants, just summarizing the overall transition fair as it was, the 3 evenings. Again, we do appreciate your time, and our participants can view this on our YouTube channel.
Terrific. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.